Hey folks, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition, a brand new edition of the Blue Chair Chronicles. Haven't done, let me put this down a little bit, haven't done one of these, I think it's been a year now since my mother passed away. She just last week made 1 year anniversary of her death, and I've been talking to a lot of friends about this year. They've been calling me about a lot of stressors, an enormous amount of stress, and having serious medical issues. And I decided haven't done a podcast. I mean, I think I've recorded one podcast, an actual podcast, in the last year. Had to deal with, the divorce, my mother's death, dealing with COVID, trying to grow the company. It's extremely exhausting, and here, this is the marina behind me. This is Black Point Marina. My daughter, she's in honors society, and they're doing a cleanup at the beach today. And so I decided, why not? I got a little bit of time on my hands. I'm going to be here for a couple of hours, at least till 11. They were cleaning up starting like around 8:30 in the morning. I decided, why not? Let me sit out here, enjoy my cup of coffee, pull out my chair, the camera, and record a podcast. And the reason I haven't recorded many podcasts is because I just don't have the energy to do a whole lot these days. And I'm starting to recover from burnout, which is what I want to talk about, and what real burnout is. A lot of the time people misunderstand burnout, and real burnout has a lot of repercussions down to the cellular level. We're talking down to your mitochondria, where it damages your mitochondria. And so this has been a 2-year ordeal of dealing with chronic issues regarding this. And so trying to focus on it, focus on the recovery, focus on just getting enough energy to just wake up in the morning and brush your teeth sometimes. And that's how chronic it is. And I'm getting calls. In the last month, I've had at least 3 conversations with fellow PCOs, former PCOs, who they're dealing with chronic stress. How you doing? And to the point where it's gotten them hospitalized. Chronic stress to where they think they're having a heart attack. Literally having all kinds of heart tests done because the stress, the anxiety has been so high. These guys have gone through a lot. What I find is that when you're dealing with the stress of the business, and this is what a lot of technicians don't understand. Owning a business has a lot of stress that you say, well, I get 100% of the money. Yeah, but you also have 100% of all the problems. And when you can't work, when you get injured, when you get something happens in your life that floors you, that causes you to lose focus, your income and your livelihood is tied to it, and you being able to deal with it all. Sometimes you're dealing with it all on your own. You have no support. And a lot of these guys that I'm talking to, there seems to be a thread of they've had serious losses. They lost their business, they lost a partnership, they lost a relationship. In my case, it was three separations in the period of 4 years, and then finally divorce. At the same time that you're dealing with that, you realize your mother has terminal cancer that she hasn't told you. That's probably been going on for 3 years, and she didn't want treatment. And all of a sudden you realize she goes to the hospital and doctor says, yeah, it's terminal. We don't know how long she has, but she's going on hospice. You know, we need to take care of that. She goes to live with me on hospice, and 30 days later she passes. You're dealing with loss, you're dealing with, but what compounds it really is not the grieving process. It's not the loss. I've had a divorce before. I understand what it feels like. I've had many people die in my life. My father died when I was very young. My uncle died. My cousin died tragically. Sudden losses. These weren't, just, they were chronically ill for years and they finally passed. This was just, bam, you get hit with that and they just pass. Dealing with, but the compound for those of you guys that are, and gals, because I'm talking to women too now, that are suffering from the after effects, I think, are becoming more notable now. There's more research and more people taking it seriously because it's similar to the symptoms that long haulers have now, dealing with the chronic fatigue, with other issues that survive COVID, especially if they had asthma and had other issues. It's chronic, it's debilitating. I'm going to tell you how debilitating it is, to the point where I was literally working in the field 2 days a week. It was down to 2 days a week. This was up to a month and a week ago. I was down to 1 to 2 days a week in the field for 1 to 4 hours. So talking about working 2 to 8 hours a week in the field, and then having to spend the next 4 days at home in bed, 1 day sleeping, 1 day moping around the house because you have no energy. Literally everybody, all my friends are calling, hey man, are you depressed? I understand, the loss and everything. You're probably dealing with depression. I said, no, it's not depression. I understand what depression is. It's not. I spent the last 2 years, and we're talking now 4 years of dealing with complications due to massive chronic stress. We're talking adrenal fatigue. Why? Because for 3 years, starting in 2014, I closed down a business. For those of you who don't know the story, I closed down my other business, which was a pest control business, landscaping business, home remodeling business. We were doing a bunch of things. I was working with 10, 12 contractors at a time. I burned out. That was job burnout. I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was done. It wasn't, I looked at the numbers, it wasn't there. I've had job burnout before where I just don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else. I quit. I go find another job. I start something new, and I'm instantly energized again within a week or two. Take a week off, a weekend, get away, and recharge my batteries, and I'm at it again. And I've been working 60 to 80 to 100 hours a week since I was 19. The work, long hours, is not what does it to you. It's the stress of worry and problems, and especially when the problems are at home and you're doing your business and you've got to come home and you've got to deal with all the problems and they don't go away. There's no support. You're by yourself, and you just realize at one point in your life you're better off by yourself than having to carry everyone's burden for no reason. other than people who want to make your life difficult because they're miserable and they want to make people's life miserable. I'm dealing with so many people like that right now. I spend more time on the phone during the week ministering to other people than I do doing business lately. But that's just always the way it's been. And you go in 2013 when I shut down my other company, to 2014 when I start to build this one up, rebrand, and start doing it, until 2014 I started the podcast. For those of you that, so we're talking going on, 8 years now? We're at 2022, 2014, yeah, 8 years of doing the podcast. You're working, 3 years getting it all done. And at one point you guys would hear me say, man, I'm constantly getting cold. I'm constantly getting cold. I'm constantly getting cold. Well, I found out it was the stress. When you're constantly stressed, how you doing? You're gonna get sick all the time. And that was one of the things I had to learn to manage, was the stress that I was having, which is completely different stress than I've had before working. This time it was different. This time it was building a business where I had to have employees, where I had to have different things. Dealing with subcontractors was easy. I hire you, you didn't do the job, I fire you. Or, you didn't turn in the right work, I held your payment until, you got it fixed. Things you can't do with employees. It's a totally different mindset. So I learned to manage that stress, and I wasn't sick anymore. I learned to take some more time off for me. But in 2017, I was already working. At that point, I was working by 2017, at 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, I was working. It was hectic. I was working. I had one tech, but I was still working 14, 16 hours a day in the field. 12 to 14 on average in the field. Because of all the work that I had to do that nobody else could do. Then I would still have to come home and be a dad and be a husband and do all this. And I started noticing this would get just cramped up. My back would get cramped up, my lower back. I got to the point I needed to get a massage therapist. The guy would say, man, I don't know what you do, but I've never worked on anybody's back that was this knotted up for an hour. And still, you're gonna need like a weekly. I literally had a point where I had a massage therapist on a weekly basis, because everybody handles stress differently. I internalize it. I'm not the guy that blows up. I'm not cussing at everybody. I just internalize the stress. My body picks it up and it starts to do this and tighten up everything. And when 2017 happened, we had a trifecta. We had a hurricane coming in. I had been a week without my blood pressure medication because they discontinued it, and the doctors had to change my prescription, and I couldn't get it anywhere. There was a day before the hurricane. That same day of the hurricane, my wife tells me, hey, I want a divorce. I'm calling it quits. Here I am running around with high blood pressure. Hurricane is coming. I'm trying to run frenzy, fixing all this, preparing for all this. I have to deal with this now at home. And my blood pressure just shoots through the roof. We were talking like 160 over like 110. Go to the doctor. She's like, we got to get you on medication right away. They put it. Oh my God, I felt like I was on chemotherapy. Here I am throwing up, head spinning for a week. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't work. I couldn't function. Thank God the hurricane was coming. I'd canceled a lot of things because that was happening. And then I started getting chest pains and chest pain and chest pain. I go to the doctor. He says, you're under a lot of stress. Your blood pressure has been high. Let me give you some nitroglycerin. Give me nitroglycerin. Thing calms down. It says, you're going straight to the hospital. We need to check you out because you might have a heart problem. So that checks out. I'm going through all of these tests for 2 to 3 days in the hospital. Turns out there's nothing wrong with my heart. I got a calcium score test. I've had every test done. My calcium score was like, I had 0 plaque. It was like a 20 from a scale. She told me from a scale to 0 to 2,000, you've got 20. You've got no plaque in your arteries. Your arteries aren't clogged. You don't have any heart disease, there's no valve damage, nothing. You're just under a lot of stress. No kidding, right? But because I internalize it, my body, I've already been dealing with the massage therapist for a couple months now. It's getting worse. I'm running on adrenals. I literally would I started doing research because I couldn't figure out why I would wake up in the morning with my kidneys on fire. And I couldn't figure it out. Literally my kidneys felt like they were on fire. So I go get to the doctor, and I'm dealing with a lot of friends right now. They're going through all of this, and they're going to doctors. They can't find anything wrong. I says, bro, it's adrenal fatigue. You're stressed. You've had separation. You lost your business. You lost your home. Dude, you're under an enormous amount of stress. You were working an enormous amount of hours. That compound effect is what does it to people. This is what is known as the burnout. This is the real burnout that doctors are experiencing, which causes them to commit suicide. That's the kind of stress that you're under, that you're so depleted because you're depleted because you're working an enormous amount of hours. You're emotionally depleted, you're physically depleted, and now even spiritually depleted. And they're going to doctors and nobody can find anything. I was going to doctors, you're just stressed. I said, no kidding, doc. I mean, this is what's happening. You know, I'm in separation, I'm running a business, I'm hiring employees, people are quitting. You know, I gotta keep going and I just can't stop. If I stop right now, everything goes to crap. I can't stop. So you're running on adrenals. I had adrenal fatigue. What did I notice? It was adrenal. My kidneys are perfect. There's nothing wrong. They've done kidney tests, got your kidney tests. There's nothing wrong with my kidneys. Turns out your adrenal glands are right above your kidneys. And when they're fatigued, you wake up in the morning and you think you've got kidney stones. So I had to deal with the adrenal fatigue. Except most doctors don't accept that adrenal fatigue is a genuine condition. Trying to find a specialist that understands it and that deals with it and that can help you is in Miami. It's almost impossible. I go to the doctor, I'll sit 45 minutes in the waiting room. The doctor will see me in 6 minutes and he's already prescribing medication. I'm going to put you on this, I'm going to put you on this, I'm going to put you on this, I'm going to put you on this. It's like, no, wait a minute. You know, I'm not going to go on all this medication to deal with this. So in 2017, going into 2018, I literally was dealing with the adrenal fatigue problem, and I had to learn. I was also suffering now, by this point, started suffering from insomnia, where I would wake up 2 hours after I went to sleep and I couldn't sleep anymore the rest of the night. Imagine trying to run a business, you got employees, I mean, you got to deal with customers. The problem with understanding that you have to be on all the time, as an employee, I got a sick day, I'm going to take it. I can't take a sick day. I can't wake up in the morning, decided I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and treat my employees bad. Be rude to my technician. I can't decide I'm not going to answer my customer's calls and ignore him for 2 days. Or when he calls, I get her. And this is irritation that starts to build up, and you're irritable and you're tired and you're exhausted and you can't stop. If you stop, everything is going to go to crap. The business that you've worked to build is going to. You're already going through a separation. You've got legal bills now. You know, tens of thousands of dollars in legal bills. Had to hire 2 attorneys. One had to hire a corporate attorney to protect my company, and because my personal attorney can't represent my company, he can't represent 2 entities. So I had to hire 2 attorneys through this whole process because her lawyers were going after my business. Yet, you know, it had been less than 5 years in the marriage. I had started the company way before that. They decided they're going to come after me. You're having to deal with all this, and you have adrenal fatigue, you're exhausted, and you just got to keep going and move forward 4 years, where you go and separate, go back together. 4 months later, you're back at it again. You're back at the lawyer's office, Every time this happens, I gotta retain an attorney, because I gotta protect my finances, I gotta protect my business, I gotta protect myself. Every time something like this happens, I immediately have to go get an attorney and talk to my attorney. So having this back and forth, finally in 2020, at the end of 2020, I decided it's enough. By this time, I am, at this time, the end of 2020, which is like, I think, November, I had gone on keto 5 years ago. It helped. I had gone on certain adrenal supplements, and that helped solve the adrenal fatigue problem. I was functioning at high level again, and the stress my body builds up, and I hadn't burned out at this point. I didn't understand I was burning out. I'm running adrenal fatigue. You're running on fumes. It's kind of like we weren't designed to run on fight or flight all the time. And as a business owner going through all these problems, you're in fight or flight mode all the time. You don't get to stop. There's no moment's rest. You know, you're working 6 days a week, and you're running on fumes, and you run on fumes for years, which is what I did. I ran on fumes for years, to the point where in 2020, when COVID hit, most people don't know this because I don't talk about it, but my muscles would spasm so much in my body from the stress that it caused 3 problems. Now, all of a sudden, I've got plantar fasciitis, which is the nerve at the bottom of your foot on the arch is tightened, and basically I wake up every morning like I was walking on glass. I would literally have to go in, put it in hot water, massage my feet. I could barely walk during the day because the tendon, and I'm going to tell you why this happened, because a lot of you are going through this. This has been a lot of research, talking to a lot of specialist doctors, listening to their advice on YouTube. I had to literally go through physical work. This is when I started my episode, which you guys go back, where I started doing yoga. The stretching would help because my muscles would contract. When my muscles contracted, well, guess what happens to tendons? The tendons can't move. And they lock so much that literally my tendon from here all the way down to my foot, all the tendons started doing this. I thought I started going to the doctor because I thought I had, like, since I was pre-diabetic for a while, that I had where your nerves start, you become there's a scientific name for it, nerve well, there's a term that you get nerve damage, and I thought I had nerve damage. Well, the podiatrist sees me and says, well, I'm going to put you on this anti-inflammatory. All right, so I take the anti-inflammatory. It basically doesn't really help because it's not an inflammation problem, it's a stress problem. It got to the point where my entire almost left side of my body got paralyzed, right side. Plantar fasciitis, I started getting sciatica, and then I got drop foot. I literally was dragging my foot when I walked. I thought I had a stroke. I'm going to my podiatrist, I'm going to the foot specialist, which is the podiatrist. Bro, once you get these problems, there's no cure. There's no cure. So I started listening, believe it or not, I started listening to these guys called Bob and Brad. They're physical therapists. They're funny guys, because one of them's really serious, the other one's really funny. And Bob and Brad are the most popular physical therapists on the internet, in their opinion, of course. And I started listening to these guys. I started doing research on every single problem I was having in my body. At the same time, I'm looking at yoga and I'm looking at physical therapy, because my massage therapist says, I don't know what to do. I'm here every week. I can't loosen your body up. It's just in knots. I started practicing meditation. I started practicing, this was back in 2018. I started this. I started 2017, I started doing keto. I started doing yoga. I started doing meditation. I started doing the physical therapy, listening to these guys, why the problem was happening. It's just that nobody could put two and two together, that it was just my muscles. Because I don't get fibromyalgia like a lot of people do. They get the widespread body pain. My muscles tighten up. And when my muscles tighten up, it just tightens everything else up. So my nerves, I just learned recently about nerve flossing and how you get the nerves to move back and forth between the muscles to alleviate this. Like I just started getting cramps in my calves again, massaging those calves out. I literally would spend, for the last 2 years, every morning I would have to wake up, do yoga. Then after I did yoga and stretching and did all this, I would get a foam roller and roll out my body to release the muscles after I stretched them out. And then I would get into my morning flow routine of doing that. And I did that for 2 years and it helped tremendously. You saw I was working out again. I hadn't been able to work out. My muscle, I started releasing. Well, 2020 came and all of that happened all at once. And then on top of that, I was leasing an apartment for 6 years, and I said, I'm comfortable here. I don't need to move. I don't need a house. I don't need anything. I don't need much in my life. Well, they decide we're not renewing leases because we're going to raise rents dramatically, and we're not going to renew these. You got 90 days. There's no negotiating. There's no like, well, just give me another unit. I'll pay the additional rent. It doesn't matter. I don't care. No, that's it. I guess they had a limit of 5 years, 6 years, and then they don't renew leases anymore. So now rents are through the roof. You can't find an apartment for less than $2,000 a month in Miami. I said, why don't I just buy? It's the worst time in history to buy. I have a choice. I thought, okay, I'll rent a warehouse for all of the equipment, and I had 3 vehicles, that I park. I need a place to park them. You just buried your mother. You're just finalized your divorce, and now you got to find a place to buy a house in this market. For 2 months, 13 deals all went through because these guys were asking between $15,000 and $30,000 in cash above closing. I said, I don't have it. Financially, I was almost devastated. So we start looking for houses, looking every afternoon. I would go with my kids, go see the realtors, go see houses, 3, 4, 5 houses a day for 2 months. All the deals fell through. Nothing. What happened? I finally told the guys, guys, a house isn't going to happen right now. The market is ridiculous. $400,000 for a starter home that is 50 years old in a not so great part of town. Okay? It's not, and plus all these deals, like 12 deals just fell through. It's just gut-wrenching. You're there every day, oh, we hope we get it, we hope we get it. No, they want 30,000, they want 50,000. They got an offer, to get that cash because people are coming to South Florida to buy. And plus the rental market for Airbnbs. I mean, these guys are making $10,000 to $30,000 a month on Airbnbs. So they're buying these homes to Airbnb them now. So they don't care what they pay for. So we finally, started looking into associations, but having 3 vehicles, where am I going to find parking for 3 vehicles in an association? This perfect townhouse came in order. The guy said, I want a fixed price. I don't care what it's appraised. I says, well, we think it'll appraise at that. I can probably come up with extra cash. We can probably do a deal. We did. That happened. Guess what happened? 30 days after closing. That's it. My body relaxed. I was done. I was done with the divorce. I was done getting my body, getting the home. My body just said, you're done. And I collapsed. I had the proverbial burnout. To the point where, I was serving already before, where I would literally tell my guys, for the next 2 to 3 days, for the next 3 weeks, it went from 3 days to like 3 weeks. I won't be doing much. I just have no energy. And while this was going on, I was just trying to just survive. I was operating on fumes already. And my body literally crashed. I burned out. I burned out so bad, I crashed so hard that I would literally spend 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks where I literally had zero energy to go outside. Everybody thought I was depressed. You know, is he suicidal? It's like, guys, I'm not depressed. I just have zero energy. I can't. The fog, I would wake up in the morning and this brain fog would be with me for days where I literally could not think. I mean, it happened before during my mom and all this. When I was going through the insomnia, I would tell Eric, my producer, I said, Eric, I sat in front of this computer for 4 hours today. I couldn't produce a darn thing. 4 hours, I couldn't come up with words. Writing, I couldn't do anything. This would go on for weeks where I would just have this brain fog, but I was still answering the calls. I was still doing, you know, sales. I would be on. You know, the phone would ring, I was on. I was on for 10 minutes, and then I would just collapse. Literally like that. And then it got to the point where I couldn't even answer the phone anymore. I had an answering service that couldn't answer the phone because they couldn't answer it within 6 minutes because they didn't have. So I had to start answering all the calls. I tried to hire a person to answer the phones. They couldn't get this right. They couldn't do it. It was very frustrating for them. Understanding, you know, it's very hard to do things and find people that think they can do things, and then you try to give them a chance because you need a warm body. You just need somebody to answer those phones because you don't have the energy. I would just write quotes. If I got it, great. If I didn't, great. I didn't care. The brain fog, the chronic fatigue. Well, the chronic fatigue went on for 9 months. I started doing serious research on chronic fatigue and on fibromyalgia because I was experiencing all of this body pain, but it wasn't widespread pain. It was just the tightness. So the way that my body deals with it is everything just tightens up. I don't have widespread pain. Then the pain is from the muscle just being there, and I can't put on a backpack. I can't do anything because everything is just so painful. Literally, and especially on my right side. My right side, like yesterday, and my girlfriend had to massage my calf and get these knots out of my calf. Just my foot, I started feeling the pins and needles again in my feet, massage those balls out and get it out of there. You know, got custom insoles. You know, what haven't I? So I started getting on a regimen. I listened to this doctor called Hannibal, who had been treating burnout and chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia for 30 years because he personally, going through medical school, went through this. He literally became homeless. He could not function. He burned out in medical school, could not function, became homeless because he could not get out of bed after that for months. And later he got himself together, went back to medical school. He was paying his own way through medical school, and then decided for 30 years he was going to devote himself. And I don't know why I've never heard of this guy, because I was doing all the research, but I wasn't doing the research. I was checking out symptoms because nobody could help me. Doctors could not help me. And I've got a couple of people like that right now. The doctors can't find out what's wrong with them. And I'm telling you, this is what's wrong. You've gone through similar things, but get everything checked out. And he says, you know, I treat all my patients with D-ribose because it's down. Once you get burned out, this goes all the way to the cellular level, to your mitochondria. I was talking to a couple of guys who are therapists, and they're very smart people. He says, man, I think you've got a mitochondrial problem. You damaged the mitochondria somehow. And you've got a mitochondrial problem. The problem is nobody knows how to solve the mitochondrial problem. This guy said, take D-ribose, which is an amino acid, it's a sugar. It's a little simple sugar that your body doesn't really produce. You get it in food, but I guess I wasn't getting enough of it also. And he put me on D-ribose, L-carnitine, and then also B vitamins and CoQ10 and what else? And then it was that, and powdered multivitamin powder, and I started getting also on multivitamin, multi-C powder. But literally within 48 hours, it was like somebody turned on a light switch. My energy was back. This has been a month now. I literally was working at that point. I literally said, I got to do something. I'm desperate. If I can't get out of bed and I can't do this, I'm done. If this becomes chronic, I'm going to be on welfare if I don't get this problem solved. And the D-ribose triggered it within 24 hours. I was like, somebody turned on a light bulb. The foggy headedness started going away. It was the foggy head that I couldn't deal with. Literally, got to the point I couldn't drive. I couldn't do anything. I was literally almost bedridden for 4 or 5 days out of the week. I couldn't function. That did it. And then I started doing with some DHEA. I'm taking about 16 supplements. I'm taking like 5 amino acids that are key, because here's what the researchers are trying to figure out. They know it's an ATP problem. They know it's an energy production problem. They know it has to do with the mitochondria. The problem is they can't figure out which of the amino acids actually fixes it. So they're doing tests with fibromyalgia patients, because fibromyalgia, which is unexplained muscle pain, is the most common thing, along with chronic fatigue after the burnout. And the thing with, I started doing the research on burnout, and the problem with burnout, it also looks like PTSD. The difference between the burnout and the PTSD is that you don't have the outbursts of anger. You're not having these violent nightmares that are reoccurring. You don't have the depression in a lot of the cases. Not depression. People confuse it with depression. I talk like this all the time when I'm talking to people, and it's like, bro, you don't sound depressed. It's not depression. It's I have no energy. I can't literally. I just started working on the van, which I've had for a year. I've been paying for this van, $800 a month, plus insurance, since May of last year. I bought it the week before my mother died, because I was going to build it out and get things going, because I wanted to take it to the next level. And it's literally sat there. I can't do anything with it. First of all, I can't find people to work on it. They want a fortune right now. Shop labor rates are between $150 and $250 an hour for shop labor rate. Everybody's in the same boat. Finally, I'm starting to work on all these projects. I'm getting all these projects out of the way. I'm building up the energy again. I started taking alpha lipoic acid. I'm going to put a list of everything I've been taking. And in the last 2 weeks, I started doing research on these aminos for the fibromyalgia and the chronic fatigue. And they were doing studies. These are small trial studies, but they showed promising results. They weren't conclusive. But I said, I'm going to try it. Nobody's got answers. Nobody knows. These are aminos. The side effects are very low. So I started doubling up and doing the therapeutic doses that these guys were doing 2 to 3 times a day. My goodness, this is the first podcast I've been able to do where I've been able to work all week. I've been able to work all week now for at least 4 hours a day in the field, between 4 hours a day consistently for 2 weeks now since I started this new regimen. Progressively, it's been better, and it's been amazing the way I feel now compared. I'm probably at about 50% capacity right now of what I was used to be able to do. Not full capacity yet, but the energy I feel, the enthusiasm I feel, where I feel like I got my life back. I'm able to function where I don't have to take, like if I would have to take the entire weekend off. If I worked 4 days 2 weeks ago, I would take the entire weekend off. I wouldn't do a darn thing. If I did anything, I would have to take off Mondays if I did something on a Saturday. It was to the point up to a month ago, it would be, I went from working 2 hours a week to then 4 hours to working 2 days a week to working 3 days a week to then going back to having to take 4 days off to then having to take 3 days off to then having to take 2 days off to now where I'm just taking 2 days off, and I'm not working Saturdays or Sundays. And I stopped working Saturdays and Sundays in the business. We don't answer calls. We don't do anything in the business Monday to Friday. I've changed. This is why you've been seeing my post about burnout and burning people out, and because I understand it now. I understand it at a very intimate level. I understand what a lot of people go through. That not everyone is able to handle stress. We make fun of millennials, how they can't handle anything, and we make fun of, but understand that it's a lot of how they were raised, and I'm dealing with a lot of parents right now who are complaining about their 20-something-year-old kids at home that feel like they have no responsibility at home, that they're just working and just spending it on themselves, and they're 24, 25, 28. And I said, whose fault is that? You're the one that allows it. You're the one that doesn't demand anything from them. You're the one that didn't raise them up. And you're feeling all the pressure because your kids aren't helping. A lot of people are getting divorced at older age. A lot of single moms that I'm talking to that have suffering with this burnout and the fibromyalgia and the chronic fatigue, and their kids don't get it. The consciousness isn't in the society, but a lot of people are starting to get it, that it's not worth being in unhealthy relationships where you're doing 80% of the lifting, the other person is coasting, not making your life easier. A lot of people who are dealing with spouses with psychiatric issues, psychological issues, undealt with issues in their childhood. I mean, society as a whole is more messed up than ever. Parents really screwing up their kids about how they don't live up to their standards, and kids not knowing. I mean, I've been dealing with this issue. I've been talking to a lot of single parents where the mother has had to be both, and I understand this personally. My mother had to be both father and mother, except she failed as a father because that's not her role. She could never fill that. And fathers who think they're sperm donors and financial contributors to their kids' lives, they're no involved, and girls have no idea what they're looking for in a man, and men that have no idea how to be men and what it's like to be a man, because dad was never a man. Dad wasn't there. Dad did not contribute to your life. He wasn't present. And girls who saw their dads literally become spineless jellyfish who fold under everything, and they have no idea what they're looking for in a man. And if you have a society that is messed up, because this is why you see me with my kids all the time, why I am there every day to pick him up from school, every single day, why I'm the one that has to do homework, why I'm the one that has to take him to all his events. And I do it gladly, but I also the one that has to do it. With my daughter, why I go on a date night with her every single week for years now. Because I have to be present. This is why I can't allow myself to get down. This is why I made a priority. People are like, why haven't you been producing? And they make the jokes. It's easy doing a podcast when Steven Van Tassel does all the work. Well, Steven Van Tassel is building up his own platform, his own, to do his own thing. Not because I couldn't do anything and he has to do it. If it wouldn't have been for him, I'd probably be producing maybe one thing a month. But that's not the point. I'm bringing on another lady right now. We're entering the Spanish market, where she's a master gardener. She's a plant specialist. She deals with a lot of fruit trees, and she's brilliant. And we've met several years ago. We hit off a good relationship. She's finally ready to start doing the podcasting thing at the age of almost 70. She's going to start podcasting. I'm encouraging her to do it, and I'm going to be producing it and publishing it and distributing it. She's got a reputation locally, but we want to expand that for her consulting business now that she's entering into this new phase of her life. Somebody who went through what I went through, who has a sick daughter, who lost her husband, who had to take on the business on her own, who just buried her mother last year. I'm dealing with so many people. It's almost like these people are drawn to me because I don't know what it is about I haven't talked about this. I haven't talked about it a whole lot. I haven't mentioned it. And people are coming to me. And, one of my things that I know God does in my life, He allows me to go through things so that I can understand it, so I can have compassion, so I can have empathy, to take my ministry to the next level. Because a lot of what I do, believe it or not, is ministering and serving other people. That's where I'm happiest. This podcast, for me, has been an enormous therapy for years. It's been an outlet for a lot of frustration, for a lot of things that are wrong in the industry, a lot of things that frustrate me, a lot of things that are very difficult to deal with. It's been an outlet, and I've taken to the journey. For a lot of you that are on this journey, I've talked to so many guys this year that did have to go through the divorce, and so many guys that did lose their business. They lost their spouses. They lost a lot of close friends due to COVID. So it's a journey. If everything is wonderful in your life, just know that can change like that. I cannot fathom the thought of some people that I'm friends with that I've prayed for them. They've lost their child. That is something you just don't recover from. And if you're stressed out, the World Health Organization just this year acknowledged what burnout is, and that burnout is real. It's just that a lot of people use the term very loosely, to where I'm just burned out. I'm burned out. No, you're just in the wrong job. You don't feel like being there anymore. You have no desire. You're not happy. You're unhappy. And just quit and go find something else. That's easy. I've been in that situation before. I've been burned out to that. I remember being burned out in 94, 95, where I was doing a job that was just emotionally was sucking the soul out of me. I hated what I was doing. I hated what I was doing to people. I came from corporate. I was in the C-suite. I hated it. What we were doing to other small mom and pop business. This is why I'm an underdog for the little business, for the little guy, the guy who's struggling, the guy who's wanting to do more and doesn't know how. How do I help that guy? The common question that I'm trying to help people with is, how do I hire? I am burned out. I'm working 14-hour days. I can't find anybody. I don't know how to hire. I'm afraid to hire because I am afraid they're going to mess it up. I'm afraid they're going to ruin my name. I'm afraid they're going to steal. I'm afraid. Most of the reasons is you're afraid because you don't know how to do it. And I thank God that I was able to hire. I would have never survived if I didn't have employees. Never could I have done it. It would have been done. I remember back, 2007, 2008, when I started, I was a year in. I caught a virus. Nobody knew what it was. I was hospitalized twice, was out of commission for 30 days. Luckily, I only lost 2 clients. At that point is when the bulb went off. And I said, I got to make sure that I start hiring. I can never be in this position again. But from 2007, 2008 to 2017, 2018, that was 10 years of experience of learning how to hire. That was a lot of heartache. That was a lot of firing. That was a lot of making mistakes. That was 8 employees later. It's called an error tax. And guess what? You're going to pay it. There isn't nobody in the world that's going to save you from that pain. If you want to grow and you want to do it, you hire a coach that can hold your hand, walk you through it, pay them the $200 an hour, the $600 a month, pay them for their experience. Stop getting advice from people on Facebook with 144 character tweets. giving you cheap ass advice that you're never going to be able to really apply. Pay the consultant. Talk to Joe Jonovich. Talk to Paul Bello. Hire them. Talk to Seth Garber. Why am I plugging these guys? Because I've seen that they're consistent. They know what they're doing. I've had the conversations. Yeah, but man, you know, they want $600 a month. You either pay it, or you're going to pay it in heartache. You're going to pay it in pain. You're going to pay it in long suffering. You're going to pay it in errors. You're going to pay it. You're going to pay it up front, or you're going to pay it on the back end. It's when I started becoming healthier in 2000. I realized that I'm either going to pay for it in buying expensive food and eating right, or I'm going to pay it later on with medication and doctor bills. I'm either going to pay it in spending $200-300 a month in good supplements and being healthy, or I'm going to pay it on the back end being on all kinds of medication with all kinds of side effects. I buy the best food to eat because I decided I'm not going to eat out every day. I'm going to eat at home. I'm going to save money, but dang, I'm going to eat good. I'm talking to guys right now that are burned out, that are having heart problems, that are having all these stress issues. They're not eating right. They can't spend the money on the supplements. I don't have the money for the supplements. My business is just taking off the ground. I barely have enough to eat. They're eating crap food because it's the cheapest food they can buy. And I'm talking to them, I says, man, you got to make an effort to at least eat better, or eat this or eat that, because you can't keep doing what you're doing under this amount of stress. Not eating right. It says, can you afford the supplements? No, I can't. I can't afford it till the beginning of the month because I don't have barely enough money in the bank to cover the products. We just got hit. I mean, these guys, worst time in history to start. I think it's actually worse than 2009. I started up in 2009. And talk about, that was hard. Starting up now, some guys were in partnerships and their partner screwed them and they had to start up on their own with no money. I mean, the stress is real that people are going through. Technicians who are working 20 stops a day, 6 days a week. They're working 12 and 14-hour days just so they can make 50-something thousand a year on 18% production. They have to do sales, and they weren't wired for that. And the best guys that are wired for that, that have that kind of hustle, will either do things, they'll either quit the industry and go do something else, or they will start up. And what they find out is, if you have the hustle to do sales, you got the hustle to work the 14-hour days, and you got the hustle to do the production, you can start up like that without a problem. It's the guy who doesn't have the hustle to work those 12, 14-hour days to do sales, that he only wants to be a tech and he wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to have to do upselling, is the guy that's going to have a hell of a time starting up. It's not, being a technician is not everything there is. Being a good technician, the referrals are just not going to come through the door, especially if you're in a major market, if you're in the top 10 cities in the country. So it's a lot of things that happen. I thank God that I'm where I am. I mean, I'm able to pay my mortgage. I'm able to pay all my vehicles. Can't put any money away right now. I'm investing back into the business continually. But I'm working, I decided I was going to raise my prices dramatically, especially on my lawn accounts. And I only handle key accounts right now. These are $400 a stop account. These are accounts that I'll work for 4 hours, make $1,800. These are just money-making accounts. I stayed with that. So I actually, by serendipity, my situation forced me to make decisions that I would not have otherwise made, like raising my prices on some of my clients 100% and saying, you're wanting too many things. I'm giving you too great of a deal. We're no longer bundling under this economy. Here's going to be the price. Take it or leave it. And surprisingly, they say yes. I only had 2 clients cancel on me. Now I'm on the road working 4 hours a day, every day, but I'm charging in excess between $259 to $600 an hour. I just did a treatment yesterday. It was 1 hour, $700 to do a shrub treatment. That's what it cost. That's what nobody could solve that problem for her. They have lawn company after lawn company after lawn company because they always go for the contract price. What's the price? Well, why is your price different? I said, here's why. This. And I create the value, and they understand why every company has been failing and why I'm going to charge you $400 to be here 1 hour a month. But you're buying my expertise right now and the expertise of my technicians. And I was able to sustain my lifestyle, pay my mortgage, pay my car, pay all the vehicles, buy still the best products, and do what I do, because I've learned that you're really going to find out what you're made out of in the most difficult times. And when the economy is good, when the economy is at, unemployment rate is good, and the economy is good, and gas prices are low, and everything is humming, anybody can be an entrepreneur. Anybody can be a business owner. Anybody can succeed. It's when the crap hits the fan that we find out who's really made of the stuff they're made of. And it is through serendipity, through prayer, through faith, through things that I said, nope, I'm going to do this. This is the strat. I posted it. You guys, a lot of you guys said, good luck with that. It isn't going to happen. Well, I did it, and it did. And nobody complained. I raised my prices on all my customers that were from 20 years ago with me that had lower pricing. I raised them up to market price. They got a 30% hit automatically to bring them up on my GHP. My lawn clients, we raised our prices on all the specialty services. All the palm treatments, the shrub care, the palm fertilizing. Fertilizing has been a mission, especially we had a fertilizer law passed, which I knew was coming. I already prepped for it. We've been nitrogen free for 10 years. We were already been blackout ready for 10 years. We didn't need it. It didn't affect us one bit. But for palm trees and getting fertilizers reformulated, that was different because we didn't have a liquid fertilizer or liquid application for that. The ones I did try failed because you have to do it every month. The cost is astronomical. So we raised all of our prices astronomically on those services. If you want it, great. If you don't want it, great. I can't help you. Nobody's going to fertilize for you. You need a fertilizer license. There's a fertilizer ban. Fertilizer prices went through the roof. Good luck getting anybody to do it for you. So we raised all of our prices. Some clients got 100% increase. I had one client says, that's 110% increase. I says, you've been at the low prices. You were one of my first clients. I can no longer keep you at those prices. I lose money every time I service you. We're going to be at this price or you'll find somebody else. He's going to drop me for 6 months and then he's going to come back because he's not going to find anybody to solve the problems. These are complicated landscapes, folks. These are $2 to $10 million estates with very complicated landscapes. Some of these landscapes, $150,000 to install or more. They hired landscape architects who picked wrong plants, put them in the wrong place. So I took the chance and I said, that's it. And it allowed me the time to focus, to recover, to still be able to go out and function and work. Now I'm trying to increase the income so I can hire another technician. I need the income increased by $5,000 a month. That's it. When I ran the numbers, it's $250 a day. Oh, when we moved, and because I had a home-based business, I didn't have an office. Here's another thing that you're going to learn with Google My Business. My God, what a mission for 4, 5, this is October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7 months for Google to update my new address. We would put in the new address, they would drop it. I lost all of my ranking on Google My Business, where we were having thousands and thousands of people looking us up on Google My Business. So I immediately started doing blog posting on Google My Business to rank up, and we were blog posting every day, posting a picture every day, a blog post, a link, something every single day to boost it. because we would put the address in, Google would drop it after a week. Put it back in, Google would drop it. They verified the new address. I got the code, and Google would not accept the new address. This all goes back to the previous SEO thing. So I hired a new SEO guy. He says, bro, I'm putting the address in weekly. So I was monitoring it daily. I would literally see it dropped again, put it in, drop again, put it in, drop again, put it in. This went on. I must have updated that address 12 times in the last 7 months. It took them 4 postcards, because we would order a postcard. It's supposed to be there like within 5 days. It would take 2 weeks. He said, nah, it got lost in the mail. Let's order it out. It would come in. I would put the code in. Now another 2 weeks waiting on them. So this has been a mission, guys. When it rains, it pours. This, owning a business is not for the faint of heart. It's not for people that have weak stomachs. It's not for people that fold very easily. It's not for people that want to go in and work, 36 hours a week and go home and have free time for your family and have all the free time in the world. It's not for that. Luckily, I've decided we're not going to be that company that works all those hours. My technicians are going to work the hours they want to work. I got to have a minimum that they produce. And if you're happy with that minimum, I'll keep you on. If you can't produce the minimum, I can't keep you. But that minimum isn't burdensome. That minimum, if you can do it in 40 hours a week, if you can do it in 36, if you want to work 44 hours a week, if you want to work 48, I've got my costs, I got my business model, I understand it. This is why a couple of people have approached me already about franchising, where they want to partner with me to do the franchising. They want to do franchising and sell franchising because they love my business model. My model is super profitable. So that's something I'm going to probably revisit again. I had that idea. I paid off for all the paperwork back in 2008, 2009, before I even started the company. I did all the research and all that. I paid for everything. I've got all the documentation. I can just fire it back up again and start franchising. We have a successful model now. The van, I'm going to show you what I've been doing with the van. I'm going to post a couple of videos. Stay tuned to that. The little things I've done to it in the last week. I installed the roof vent. It came out beautiful. We got everything sealed. We smoke tested that van to get it sealed. We figured out where all the holes were that were in the structure. We're going to put a diamond plate floor on it. We're going to seal coat it inside, rubberize it so that it doesn't get rusted or dinged anywhere. We're going to put a couple of panels somewhere so it doesn't hit the side of the van accidentally, and then you see the dent on the outside of the van. We're going to panel coat that. It's going to be a really nice one. We've got the layout, got the ride-on sprayer spreader inside. We're going to have 4 tanks, probably starting out with 2 reels, but we're going to probably just do refill with backpacks. We're still doing a ton with backpacks. It's going to be a really exciting. I've been designing this van now since I bought the last one, and I want my dream van is going to be, because we go from needing 90,000 right now. They're running for 120,000 lawn truck to a $200,000 lawn truck for tree service and everything. To you can get it done with build out and everything. The van is costing 65 now. When I paid 48 for that van, their van is about 65,000 if you can find them, and then maybe a $10,000 build out tops with this build out. So you can see how economical it is, because you're going to be able to do lawn, shrub care, shrub spraying, GHP, and termite from one van, and you can do mega large properties with a large commercial. It says, how are you going to get all that in there? I developed the system. I tested this system for 10 years now, going on 12 years that I've been perfecting this system. We were doing backpack lawn spraying before we had motorized backpacks, and doing shrub with pump. But we were doing small yards, 4,000 square foot yards that you could do in a couple minutes. We perfected the art of lawn care with micro application. So guys, I'm excited. I truly am. I'm not depressed. I'm not suicidal. I am full of faith. I'm full of hope. But it has been a tremendous hard journey for those of you guys struggling. If you need to reach out to me, reach out to me. Message me. I got plenty of time to talk during the day if you need someone to talk to, because nobody's understanding where you're at. Believe me, nobody understands it a lot of the times. Everybody thinks you're going crazy. Well, you could be going crazy. I mean, nobody can prove I'm not crazy yet. I even went to a therapist. I went to a psychologist. My girlfriend said, you know, you need to go see somebody just in case you are. You're probably not, but, you know, let's not rule out anything. So I did. I went to a therapist. I said, you know, I don't know if I have depression. He says, you don't have depression. You're living in the future. People who have depression don't live in the future. You're constantly talking about all the plans you have and all the goals you have. You have a serious problem you're going to need to recover from. It is going to take a while. You're going to have to be patient with yourself. But you're not depressed. I want to have meetings with you about, because she's a coach and she's a life coach, and about this. So I want to start having meetings with you about your goals and your plans, how you plan to get to the next level in your life. I said, I don't want to live my next 25 years, like my last 25, with my mother's death, the divorce. That opened up my eyes to a lot of things where I want to enjoy more of my life. I want to work less. I want to enjoy it more. I want to do things that are meaningful to me, like teaching the academy. That's why it's been on hold, guys. You're wondering what's wrong with the academy. It's just I didn't have the energy to produce the content for the academy. I don't have the energy to teach a class. I didn't have the energy to do anything for the last year, and that's why it's been on hold. The first year was on hold because of everything else that was going on, but it was a platform issue. For 6 months we couldn't figure it out, and then after that this all happened. It was like I got to put something aside. I can't do everything. The academy can wait because that's more of a long-term plan for me. I plan to be teaching and talking and until I'm in my 90s, where I'm in a wheelchair and they have to wheel me out. As long as my mind is good, I can talk. I've been building a platform for myself for the long term. You know, I got to be patient. One of the things that I have that I struggle with is I'm so impatient with myself. I suffer from a ton of anxiety because of that all my life. Finally learned how to deal with it. I finally learned how to deal with my anxiety without medication. Everything I'm doing holistically because I truly believe in holistic medicine. I believe in holistic pest control. I believe the body, mind, and spirit connection. I believe in it all. And because I'm holistic in nature, I believe there are holistic answers to a lot of things, that it doesn't always end up in a doctor's office with medication with an enormous amount of side effects. I think diet, exercise, meditation. I mean, I had so many of my Christian friends, the ex-pastor, when I started talking about yoga and meditation, that I am lost, that I'm no longer a Christian. All my Christian brothers criticizing me for that. It says, you don't understand, you don't know what I'm going through, you're not in my life, you don't even call, you don't even care. You don't know what it's like to be totally, you feel like you're gonna end up like literally a quadriplegic because you can't function in life. And that's not me. I'm not one to roll over and die. I don't believe in rolling over and dying. I'm gonna fight the good fight until I'm done, until God is ready to bring me home. And God didn't give me all this and save me and give me everything He's given me and the abilities He's given me, the cancer He healed me from, all of the things in my life that I've gone through, to just let it all end like that. I believe I have a higher purpose in my life, that I have a purpose that I have to fulfill. I don't know what it fully looks like yet, but I'm full of hope. So the academy is going to come. You know, I got one more class. I got to get it registered with the state. It's just the time that I need to be able to register all that and do it. But like, again, if you guys are needing help, after this is all done, I'm going to be doing a little bit of consulting, startup consulting, helping people start up. And that's always been part of my goal. It's just got pushed back. You know, everything in my life becomes an uphill battle all the time. It's almost like if you're a believer in Christ, you understand the spiritual realm. We realize there are angels and demons all around us. You think Frank's crazy, lost his mind. No, the Bible talks about it. We have oppression, we have things because they can see where you're going They can see God has a purpose, but God is going to fulfill his purpose in my life, as he's going to fulfill a purpose in your life. And I'm not done. I'm not over. I'm getting started. I feel at 50 years old, I came to the realization that the best is yet ahead of me, because I now have the experience. I just need the energy. And I'm getting my energy back, but I'm not going to be doing the physical work. I need the energy to do the things that energize me the most. Helping people, training, teaching, conferencing, training technicians. That's truly what my calling is in life. It isn't building a big business. My business is an incubator. It's a test for my concepts, for the ideas, for a lot of things that I've been talking about that, how you doing, that everybody says can't be done. Yet I keep proving everybody wrong, because I learned that I have something that nobody else has. And that is the ability to go out and test something, take a risk, and fail, and then keep doing it until I get it right. That's unique to me. But I'm looking at bringing on partners that I can trust, that have values like mine. Because truly that's where it's at. How can two walk together if they don't agree? So the secret to growing a business is bringing on partners that can bring to the table what you lack, and then letting them do what they do best and stay out of their way. Just like bringing on employees. Let them do what they do best, stay out of their way. I'm good at that because I'm good at delegating. I'm not a micromanager. So it's going to happen. I'm really enjoying this time right now, taking some time off. You know what I learned? I took the time off. I scaled back a lot of things. I don't answer calls on Saturdays or Sundays. I don't answer calls after 5 p.m. I don't answer any call before 9 a.m. Our office hours, it's on my voicemail. If you call my business, you're going to get my line. It's going to say that my hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, with close on weekends. Guess what? Nobody died. The business didn't go down. Nobody died. Nothing happened. Nothing drastic. My employees aren't stressed out because I make sure I don't stress them out. I'm happier than I've ever been. I have a new lease on life. I'm reflecting more than ever. I'm thinking more seriously about my end in life and taking that very seriously and what I want that to be like. A lot of things are better in my life because of it. I no longer have that anxiety, that stress. I haven't had anxiety, I think, in a month. My back still gets a little tight, but nothing a little massage can't fix. A little here and there. Stretching, yoga, rolling out. I haven't had the energy to roll out because it takes an enormous amount of energy to roll out. My physical therapist, when he was doing the therapy on my back, I would literally not able to work the next day because it drains you so physically. I am so happy right now. I'm at a point where I'm discovering that people in my life who make my life miserable, I instantly get rid of them. Customers that make my life miserable, I instantly get rid of them. Friends, people who are just unhappy, I won't surround myself with anybody who is unhappy. I've made that conscious decision. If you are unhappy, you cannot be around me. I'll minister to you, I'll serve you, but I'm not hanging out with you. I'm not going down to your level. I'm not having a pity party with you. I can deal with people being sick. I can deal with people relying on me. I can't deal with people who decide they got everything in life and they're unhappy. You bitch, you complain about having health and having a roof over your head and having food and having the basics, and you're unhappy, then either work more, work harder, find something else to do, but I don't want to hear it. I won't be around you. Life's too short. And I realized how short life is. It finally clicked, that verse that says we're like a breath. We're here today, we're gone tomorrow. I've learned to count my days because the days are evil. All those verses in the Bible are making sense to me. So, I'll smoke my cigar, I'll have my coffee. Customer calls me frantic that, oh my God, something. Listen, we're going to be there. We're going to take care of you. We're going to be fine. If you start behaving like a Karen or a Ken, find somebody else to care. This idea that I demand something right now and I expect it now. I'm like, nah, we're not that kind of company. You call us, we're going to be there this day or next day. Within 24 hours, we'll be there to solve your problem. But it's not that. Life is too short to be that way. I want to create a company that has a zen piece to it, that people want to work here. There's no drama. I don't allow it in my company. I don't allow people who are difficult, who want to make. I don't care if you're the best at it. If you're difficult and you make other people's life difficult, you will not work for me. I don't call my techs. They call me. I don't call them. I don't bother them during the day. I don't, why aren't you here and why this? And, someday I'll review stuff and say, hey, what happened here? That this customer just called and that's it. But most of the time, I let them do their thing. They're calling me going, bro, I'm having a problem here. I'm having a problem there. This customer called. What do I do? How do I handle it? I'm more in a coaching stage right now, in a training stage, than I am in a management stage. I'm really not in a management stage. I didn't have the energy for it, but it worked out fine. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to be the highest paying company, the highest charging company, so I can give people the income they deserve without killing them, the hours they want. There's a minimum hours you got to put in. There's a minimum of production you got to put in. There's KPIs. There's responsibility. But you take those KPIs and it says, can I live with $150,000 a year technician, or does every technician need to produce $220,000 to stay with me, like the other companies do? At $150,000, a year at 25% production. If you don't want to sell, that's fine. I don't require you to sell. I'm going to hire CSRs to do that anyway. If you want to sell, it's there for you. But that's the minimum production I require, about $150,000 a year, 25% production. You can do that in less than 40 hours a week. You want to work 4 days a week? You want to work 8 hours, 9 hours a day, and have 3 days a week off? We can work that out. I'm doing it now. I don't need that much money. I ran my numbers. I can live with the production each route produces, as long as the person is being genuine. The person says, I only want a job. I'll work 10-hour days, but I want 3 days a week off, 1 day for personal, and it's weekends for my family, and you can pull the production off. I'm happy. I'm happy for you. If you say, I want more, Frank, I'm hungry, and I want to do more, and I can do it for a couple of years because I'm young, that's great. You're going to get addicted to the income. If you want to back down later, we need to either look at management for you, or sales, or something else, but you can't have it both ways in this world. It's simple. I'm just being honest. You want to work less? Joe makes $70,000 a year because he does termite. He's a termite expert. He works 10-hour days and he works 5 days a week, and he has Saturday and Sunday off. Yeah, he's going to make $72,000 a year. He closes the business because he goes in as an expert. He tells the client he has the contract, and he closes the business, and he gets a commission. Joe's a hustler. I don't want to be a hustler. I just want to work and go home and make X amount. Excellent. I don't have a problem with that. But understand, you can't compare yourself to Joe. You're John, and John works 36 hours a week. He gets his job done. His KPIs are in line. The customers aren't complaining. The production is there, and John is happy. I'm happy. John's production falls. His KPIs go off kilter. we need to have a conversation. Other than that, we can do this. And that's where I'm headed. And everybody says, no, it can't be done. Well, the funny part is, by the time I tell you about it, I've already been doing it. It isn't. I'm not looking for your approval. I'm not looking to see if you can tell me whether it can be done or not. By the time I let it out of the bag, it's already because I'm doing it. I'm just seeing what everybody else thinks. And when everybody tells me you're nuts and it can't be done, that's when I know I have a blue ocean. That's when I know I'm doing it. And I'm doing it right. I got some people that I really want to go and spend some time with. I want to travel, and I want to talk to them personally because they're building some great businesses. I love the way they're building their companies. I love the way I'm going to be traveling this year. Maybe Florida, just southern Florida, and then maybe going up all the way probably to New Orleans, Atlanta, Georgia, that kind of area, and talking to them and having dinner and enjoying myself a little bit more. I want to enjoy the fruit of my labor. This is where I'm at in life. I'll have more, but I'm not going to do what the Bible says not to do. Don't overwork to be rich. And for a long time I overworked to be rich because my DNA is to work harder. I am not smarter. I am actually probably one of the dumbest guys you're ever going to talk to. I'm not that smart, but I've always outworked everybody. And I'll always figure a way to outwork you. And I am a hustler, and because I'm a hustler and I have work ethic and I'll outwork you, I can outdo the guys who are smarter than me. And I got to learn to do it in other areas. And I got to listen to the guys that are actually doing it. The guys who have the 20 technicians and people are happy. And I'm looking at that right now. That's my goal for the next year. I finally got somebody to sign off on my license, to get my termite license. A friend of mine who was the last guy I ever thought of, and he had offered it to me, and I totally forgot. I said, bro, you know I offered it to you several years back and you said you weren't ready. And I said, yeah, man, you're right. And I didn't call him. And a friend of mine says, you know, you need to talk to so-and-so. He'll help you with that. And I did. And then the funny part is, because the lady that's coming on to do the podcast, they're good friends. And I talked to her, and I said, oops, sorry, I just farted. Oh, there it goes. There's another one. Yeah, just gas. But oh well. I'm getting old, bro, and you don't care if you fart in public. And so, yeah, so everything was serendipity. He says, yeah, bro, come on over. I went ahead and we signed the paperwork, and I'm getting my training ID. So he says, man, let's go out together now. You get any calls, let's go out together and do them together so you can get the experience, and we'll work it out. He didn't charge me anything. He didn't want anything. He just blessed me. But these are people, you know, hurt people learn how to bless if your heart is in the right place. Hurt people, if their heart is in the right, they become hardened and they become embittered, and then they become total a-holes in life. This guy lost his daughter 4 or 5 years ago. She was on a trip. She was graduating from college, and she fell off a cliff and died. And talk about heartache and pain. Those are the people that understand. And I talked to him about it. I don't bring it up, but he says, I'm tired. I don't want to, he's got 4 technicians. He said, I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to go out, close all this down, go do my lawns, 7 o'clock, be home by 2, and be done with it. His house is paid for. He's done very well for himself. And I'm trying to encourage him to look at other things. But that's what I do. I'm an encourager. I know I come off like, I had one girl the other day says, you are a D-I-C-K, I said, you come across as that. Says, yeah, but I'm actually like a fuzzy, skinny, scrawny teddy bear. In life, I'm not, I don't know if I come off this way, if this becomes a persona for me. I never wanted my persona to be this way, but it comes, since most of the stuff she follows me on is my text. You guys understand my grammar's bad. I text and it comes across harsh. I'm terrible at. I'm getting better though. I'm becoming more sensitive to, not that I'm becoming more sensitive, just more sensitive the way I write. Because I'm a very sensitive person. You call me on the phone, you realize that I am extremely caring and loving and kind. And I just, somehow I don't come across that way in writing. come up very dry, and but she says, but I like that about you because I am the same way. So anyway, are you done? You've been calling, but you left your phone. You didn't give me your phone. Is it 11 already?
I did give you your phone.
No, you gave me your phone. You didn't keep your phone.
No.
Therefore, you couldn't call me. So are you done?
Yes, I'm done. My back hurts. My side hurts. My face is burning. My ankles hurt.
Say hi. Did you dirty your shoes?
A little bit.
Yeah, no, they came out right. All right, so folks, she's done. I'm done. And I will see you next time. Have a pestacular day.